I'm Vanessa, and before I start, how many of the people in the audience have a research repository? Put your hands up. Okay, not many hands. Of those people who had their hands up, how many of you use your research repository regularly? Okay, fair bit of hands. So hopefully today is going to be super relevant for you. So we will be talking about how we manage and store our research insights at Kazoo using our repository. But first, what I wanted to do is give you a bit of context. So we have a lot of research happening at Kazoo, and they mainly come into two categories. So the strategic category and the tactical category. So we have Kate and Rhiannon, who are mainly focused on that strategic research. So they're working alongside our commercial stakeholders and typically working on projects that are around 6 to 8 weeks. And the goal of that is to influence our OKRs. And then at that tactical side, we've got our product managers and our product designers who are working within those cross-functional teams and working on some quick kind of research. So with all that research happening, you can imagine we're getting a lot of requests from the organization for knowledge from past research. So we knew we needed a way to share and store our insights throughout the organization that was accessible to our colleagues without the reliance on the research team. And now I'm going to pass over to Rhiannon, who's going to go through how we approach that.
Cool. Thank you. Is that gonna? Yes. Cool. Hello, everyone. So this is our research intranet. I'm going to talk through this in a bit more detail. So as Vanessa mentioned, research is democratized at Kazoo. So lots of different people are doing research, and me and Kate are kind of doing more strategic, long-term, bigger projects. So we have this kind of intranet page, really, where we support people around the business to do their own research. So we've got things like our roadmaps, and we also have resources for everyone, like designers, content designers, product managers, and there's also commercial partners as well who are interested in user research. So we have tools and tricks and things like that here for them. And this page also has some resources for our team as well, like the kind of boring things like retros and bits and bobs like that. But today I'm going to talk through our kind of insights and roadmap in a bit more detail with you. So the kind of, I guess, support tools for our colleagues at Kazoo. So we have the research home, and basically today I'm going to look through and talk you through the research roadmap and the user insight log in a bit more detail, and then I'll hand over to Kate to talk through the repository part of the website. And those of you who are familiar with Notion might be realizing this is Notion. So the reason why we use Notion for all these different things is pretty much simply because everyone in tech is really familiar with Notion. They use it day to day in their kind of work streams. So we found it's kind of the best way to get them to actually use these resources and actually see the roadmap regularly. So this is the research roadmap. What we have here is essentially lots of different projects happening across the business. You can see opportunities, next up, in progress, sort of a kind of typical roadmap, really. So the idea behind this is essentially just to have visibility of all the different discovery happening at Kazoo for everyone. So everyone can come here, they can see what projects are going on, they can collaborate with each other if they realize there's a project that actually that's really interesting for our team as well. And it also avoids duplication as well. Especially when Kazoo was quite a big company, we realized like different people were kind of doing some of the same stuff. So this roadmap is kind of to help alleviate that pain point, really. It's also kind of more importantly, I guess, as well, a way for all of our colleagues to actually track and document their work. So they can use these cards here to actually just have all their documentation for their projects. So I'm going to click into an example that's a little bit old, just so it's not commercially sensitive. So this is a project that happened a couple of months ago. And basically, this is the roadmap card. So essentially, it's a place where you can kind of document all of your insights, all of your kind of, all of your kind of logistical information, the context about the problem, the objectives of your project, things like assumptions, research questions, all the kind of good bits that you want to have a place where you're documenting that, but you don't necessarily need that information to live on in a repository. So this is essentially kind of disposable information in a way. We have different bits here, so we have a place you can take notes in the user insight log, which I'll talk through in a bit more detail in a second. And just things like, places for your discussion guide and bits and bobs. So anyone who kind of has Notion, we're big fans because you can kind of create pages and links and interlink things really easily here. So we also have templated this, so when colleagues come to the roadmap, they just need to click on New, and they can just create a new card and kind of go from there and start straight away. Another thing that we have in our roadmap that's quite new to sort of deal with the kind of complexity of everyone doing research across Kazoo and us trying to support them as well as user researchers. So being a small team, there's a lot of different projects and requests kind of flying in at us all the time. So something we did with our research operations specialist is put in place a request process, request kind of form process. And this is appearing here on the left. There's a column you can see called requests. And essentially, all people need to do is input their request needs here, and we can kind of review that and help them with their work. The really good thing about that is it helps people to think through the problem a bit more before they just come straight to us and direct message us. And we've been finding that really useful recently. So I'll show you how that works. You just click New. It opens up a little card, and then we've got these templates that I mentioned. So you can have just a typical project template, but we also have just introduced these research request templates as well. So Ribbon Request is a new software that we're working on at the moment to introduce. So anyone who wants help with that tool just puts in a Ribbon request. But I'll just show you like a typical project request. So it always loads a little bit slowly. When it loads, you'll see. So it just autofills with things like what's the actual problem they're addressing, what's their hypothesis, what are their questions that they have for customers or internal users. And what's really important for us and kind of for them as well is to think about what's their success metrics and what are the OKRs that they're actually working on. And this really helps us as a research team to prioritize whether this project is or is not more important than another one that we might be getting asked to help on. So yeah, that's our research roadmap in a bit of detail. And then I just wanted to talk you through the user insight log as well. So if we scroll down the home, we've got the repository that Kate's going to talk through, and then we also have the insight log. So this insight log is another tool we have to support our colleagues when conducting their research. So at Kazoo, we have a lot of internal user research with people like our customer support team, production people, and everyone around the business where we kind of interview them as well. But we also have customer interviews. For the internal conversations, we were noticing that quite often people across the business were going to the same team, who might be quite a small team, like customer support, and kind of asking them the same questions again and again and kind of taking up their time. So what we did is implement the user insight log so that everyone can have visibility of conversations and research happening with our internal colleagues. So it's essentially just a simple kind of table where you can put in your questions and your answers and your notes. And I'll show you what I mean. So if I just open one from this project. So this project was understanding the returns process at Kazoo, how the customer support team kind of working on it, how is it all structured internally. So what you have here is just a simple document again, and you can have your interview questions here, you can have your raw notes, and we also put in the recording of the conversation if we've got consent, obviously. But the main thing that we ask people to do is fill in some short key learnings at the top. So 5 to 6 key learnings. What did you actually find out? What's the main point of that conversation? And that's really helpful for us to have people just coming in quickly and understanding what that conversation was and making sure you don't need to kind of keep having a conversation with that team member. So that's it on the user insight log. I'm going to hand over to Kate to talk through the repository.
Cool. Thanks, Rhiannon. Yeah, so I'm going to talk you through our research repository. So that's where we actually store research once it's complete. So again, we chose Notion for this tool. And although we're kind of aware there's lots of quite fancy tools for repositories on the market at the moment, again, one of the most important things for us was that people actually interacted with and used the insight in kind of product discovery and decision making. So using Notion seemed like the most sensible option. As Rhiannon said, it already formed kind of the basis of the main tool that all of teams used in their workflows. And again, we use templating here to create consistency in the way we write up research, and this just enables people to search and find what they're looking for with a bit of structure to the actual reports. So I'm going to click into one again and show you an example. So research reports at Kazoo are comprised of 5 main sections, and you can see here we've got a contents page, which is great for quick and easy navigation. So what are the 5 kind of main sections? So first up is background and objective. This is really important as it provides context to the person who's reading the project and the report into what we were actually trying to find out and what were the goals of the project. We also place quite a bit of emphasis on writing good TLDRs. So essentially this is a really short overview of everything that was done during the project and what are the key takeaways. So if someone's short on time, they can just dip in, read that, and they've already got a good understanding of what the insight that was gained during that project. We've also then got kind of our related documentation, and there's quite a lot for this project, and our outputs as well. So often there's lots of other documents that are relevant to a project. So we use Miro a lot. We also do, for our storytelling, we do quite a few playback decks. So just making sure that all of that is linked within the project itself. So anyone revisiting this at a later stage can find all the information without having to navigate away from Notion. And then lastly, and maybe most importantly, is the so what section. So what were the next steps or the recommendations off the back of this piece of research, and what did we actually do? So again, anyone revisiting this at a later stage is aware of what happened and what kind of design or decisions were made across the business. And then if I just scroll back up to the top, for those of you that use Notion, you might be familiar with these properties here, but we also encourage anyone adding research into the repository to fill out as many of these as possible, because the more information you put in, the easier it is to find insight after the fact. So we strongly encourage everyone to fill out as much information there as possible. So if I just take you back to the home page, something else I wanted to show was a couple of different views that we have of our research repository. So we also have this opportunities by value stream, and this was something that we implemented to help product teams to discover research that was relevant to their area in the business and opportunities from work that we might have done. So you can see here across the screen lots of different parts of the business, such as retail and customer service, as Rhiannon was talking about, and all of the pieces of research which are relevant to that area and therefore the product team that looks after that space. And we found this to be really useful in helping teams to discover work and opportunities that are relevant to what they're actually doing. And then lastly, we've got our in progress column. So there's nothing actually in there at the moment, which is good for us because that means everything's up to date. But essentially the role of this view is to just help us as researchers keep track of all the work that's ongoing, and also to encourage designers and PMs or whoever might be adding to the repository to make sure that they're doing it in a timely fashion so that research doesn't grow old or lose its power by not being documented well and properly within our repository. So that's it in terms of the demo itself. But I think there was just one more thing I wanted to say before we wrap up. And that's really that this is a project that we never really see as complete. We're continually iterating on this day by day and trying to make it better and more valuable to the people that are using it, including us as a team, but also the rest of the business. Some of you may have seen, we also have a feedback form here at the top as well, which we encourage people to fill out if they've got any anonymous feedback of how this could be better or more appropriate to their role. We take that very seriously and monitor it closely, and some of the changes that we're talking through today have come off the back of research. Have come off the back of that feedback. So yeah, I think that's it from us. If anyone has any questions, I don't know if we were on time. Sergey?
Perfect, absolutely
Okay.
perfect, thank you.